Well, welcome back, everyone. Very excited to see you today. We are brought to you by portal2ascension.org, all things Portal to Ascension. So go and check there if you're interested in any of our online and in-person events. And I'm your host, Dr. Joan of Angels. And I'm always happy to see all of you. Now, some people awaken through study. Other people awaken through crisis, and some awaken because life simply asks them to listen. Today's conversation explores intuition, resilience, and what happens when we stop outsourcing our knowingness and begin to trust what's already in us. I'm your host, Joan of Angels. I work as an executive producer for New Living Expo and a strategic discernment advisor. So if you are in transition, if you need any support in navigating complex decisions, feel free to reach out to me because that's exactly what I do. Now, today's guest, JJ Brighton, by the way, is going to be one of our amazing speakers at the New Living Expo. So I just want to show you a brief intro to that, and then we'll be on with JJ.
The world is changing faster than ever before. And within this evolution, a new consciousness is rising. At the New Living Expo, thousands gather to expand consciousness, explore new conscious technologies, ancient wisdom, and the future of human potential. Immerse yourself in 3 days of heart-expanding wisdom and mind-binding awareness, with over 90 speakers sharing tools to awaken your highest potential. 125 exhibitors, 3,000 attendees, awakened souls, unite in one powerful weekend of learning, healing, and connection. Experience transformation, connection, and the next chapter of human evolution. It is time for humanity to awaken. Join us at newlivingexpo.com.
It is. It's true. It's time for all of us to awaken and to expand our field so strong that even our presence helps other people awaken. And today we have an amazing speaker, guest. Many of you probably know her already, JJ Brighton. She's going to bring her wisdom to the New Living Expo. We'll talk about that in a minute, but she is an intuitive guide. She's a teacher. She's a grounded voice in the world of consciousness exploration. Her work bridges intuition, personal empowerment, and real-world integration. She helps people develop trust in their own personal inner guidance without bypassing the human experience. And what we really appreciate about JJ's work is her emphasis on discernment, self-responsibility, and lived wisdom. So it's not just all up in your head, but it's practical embodiment. So JJ, can I call you JJ?
Absolutely.
Is that what people call you?
That's what people call me. It is. It is.
Wonderful. We are so happy to see you today. Welcome.
So thrilled to be here, Joan. I love that we have the J thing going on.
Right? I know. I'm JD.
Got all the
J's.
J's.
JJ.
I really am a JJ. Yeah.
And that's really powerful because J, as long as we're on the subject, numerologically is the number 1.
Yeah.
And 1 is everything you seem to embody: leadership, new beginnings, being outside the box, self-confidence, knowing who you are. And we're in a 1 year.
We are. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So you're probably truly activated this year. I can already feel it.
Oh, yeah. There's so much coming down the pipeline for me personally, and I believe for humanity. I mean, just kind of setting the stage there when we had that whole 3i Atlas few months, I feel was just a big thing. And I think you and I spoke about that too, but it's just a powerful, powerful time. And I feel really grateful and blessed to be here on earth and here speaking to you.
I know. And I can feel the energy already. Well, first of all, we're 3 1s, 1 JJJ, we're 3 J's, it's 3 1s. And we're in new beginnings. I don't know what, so there we have it. We're right in alignment. So this is going to be a very upbeat conversation. So before we started the show, I asked you what you were really passionate about and bringing to the table. And you want to talk about whales. And so few people talk about the power of whales. So, I feel like there's such a strong grounding energy for the planet. So let's hear what you want to tell us about whales today.
Oh, wow. Where do I begin? Well, I actually have to laugh because one of my favorite books recently was published by Joan Ocean. I don't know if you're familiar with Joan
I have
Ocean.
met her. I
Yes.
have met her. Oh my
And
goodness.
she just took and compiled the book is this thick. So many messages and stories from across her lifetime. And her partner, of course, creates these very activating images that go with it. And I was introduced to the book by a friend in Australia last year, where I had an incredible encounter with some whales off the Sunshine Coast. And at that point, I've always had a connection with the whales. I've had a connection with the whales since I was young. I actually raised money for Greenpeace when I was a child because I wanted to save the whales. And so I've always had a love for the whales, not too much luck whale watching, I'll be honest. When I was younger, I suffered from quite a bit of motion sickness issues. So I went twice when I was younger, and both times I ended up on the ground just like moaning, but I just knew I wanted to be out there with the whales. I've grown out of it and have had some beautiful experiences connecting with the whales. I've never actually swam with the whales yet. I just recently healed some of my Lemurian trauma from drowning and Atlantean trauma from drowning in past lives. So I think I'm now going to be brave enough to really go into that open water, and I'm calling that in for the next little bit. But regardless, the whale mothers have been coming in so powerfully for myself, and I think a lot of people over the last little bit. And I feel their influence expanding so much. As I was reading Joan's book, in fact, I was focusing on the fact that the whales are they're very telepathic. And so I sense and really feel called to connect with them so that they can help us amplify and hone our abilities to communicate telepathically. Because I believe that if we are able to do that, communication in and of itself will be streamlined, will be more heart-centered, and we'll be able to speak soul to soul. So that's what I'm actually bringing to the New Living Expo, is a presentation connected to telepathy and the whale mothers. And I've called in any children 8 and up who want to come into my presentation are welcome. I love working with kids.
Okay, the whale, and so that's the first time I've heard the term whale mothers.
Yes.
Can you expand? Like, where does that come from?
I can. Well, I actually work with not just the whales on our planet, but the whales, the cosmic whales, the galactic whales. Our whales here were brought from another place. And I think that whales exist all across creation. Our closest neighbor that sort of they come from according to my channeling and my intuition, is Sirius. And of course, Sirius B is a water planet. So it's actually not that different than Earth in that sense. But the whales, the dolphins, there are many beings that chose, just like we did, to volunteer to come and help Gaia. And so their DNA is here. They're here etherically in their cosmic form. They're here incarnated into the bodies of Earth whales. And the whale mothers are that maternal energy. So really, I feel are conduits of the love of the divine cosmic mother, and are very, very concerned, conscientious, supportive, especially of the children on the planet. And so they're just a beautiful, beautiful presence. Like I said, you can really equate them to that divine mother frequency, which oftentimes people come connect to Mother Mary, for instance. And in many traditions, there is a great mother energy and goddess energy. And so that's what I feel when I connect to what I call the whale mothers, is that divine feminine expressed through a whale.
I think that's so powerful. And I can feel, Everyone talks about dolphins and dolphin energy and swimming with the dolphins. And it's almost like they have forgotten about the power of the whales.
Yeah.
And I guess I was seeing whales maybe more masculine, but you're talking about the whale mothers and that feminine energy of the whales. I'm so drawn to whales. So are people going swimming with the whales like they used to go? Is it safe to swim with the whales?
Well, I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on swimming with the whales, so everything that I share is secondhand.
Uh-huh.
But yes, there are places you can swim with the whales. In Bali is one of those places near Bali, and I've had friends swim near Tahiti. And yeah, I mean, Joan has lots of stories. She lives in Hawaii now, and of course, you can't do it there, but she'll go anywhere and everywhere to try to swim with the whales, which is beautiful. The dolphins are often with the whales. And so, when you see the dolphins, you'll oftentimes see the whales. But for me, they come in their etheric form, and they are able to basically transition in and out of dimensions very easily and very quickly. So they're not limited to their physicality. Just like we can astral project and astral travel and go places, they obviously can do it in a more expansive way than even we can. And that's where I've really felt their presence. They've come in lately into many different gatherings that I've done. And the other thing about the whales that's interesting, not just the whale mothers, but the whale males are actually the keepers of the song lines. And so it's the masculine whales, the male whales, that you hear of the whale song. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but the
Mhm.
whale song, it is actually the masculine that does that. So complementary, obviously, to the feminine, but I also feel that powerful energy. It's very family oriented. The whales are very family oriented. And in my opinion, they're very much holding and anchoring the divine family template, which is a beautiful, beautiful sort of frequency, you could say, that we are really anchoring into the planet right now after, as you know, several eons almost of kind of having that family not be at the forefront. But the divine family template goes beyond a nuclear family. It can be felt by anybody, regardless of whether or not they're in, a traditional family setting. And it's absolutely reflected within us as our own divine masculine, our own divine feminine, and our own divine child come into union and harmony and create that perfect three Trinity energy.
So you're calling it the divine family blueprint, kind of
Yes,
like the
that's it.
divine soul blueprint. We have a divine family blueprint. Do you help people access their divine family blueprint? Is that part of your work?
Well, it comes in regardless. I say I focus more broadly on your divine blueprint, your divine soul blueprint, like you said. And from there, it expands into all kinds of different templates or blueprints, you could say, that people are remembering, reactivating, including but not limited to, blueprints that they've carried across multiple lifetimes and frequencies like Lemuria, Atlantis, cosmic frequencies, Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian, angelic frequencies, and even ascended masters, but they all fall under that idea of the blueprints. And when it comes to the divine family blueprint, there are some people on the planet, I guess everybody on the planet, I should say, has a unique set of blueprints and a set of unique gifts to share here. And for some people, one of the things at the forefront is this divine family template. And like I said, it's not limited to people if they're on the outside in a family. It's something in their heart that they carry, this ability to hold space for that divine Trinity energy of divine masculine, divine feminine, and divine child. And for me, I think most people are really good at mastering the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and getting that down. And right now, we're really being invited to step into that third piece, which is that divine child energy. And so I've worked with not only the whale mothers recently, but they are here to help us usher in a very special phase where we are welcoming the crystalline children, both children, divine child frequency that will be born into human bodies, and also crystalline children who will reside on the planet etherically. And they definitely come, speaking of angels, I know you're very connected to the angels, they definitely come from a place and a realm that is very similar to what you feel when you feel angels. Very angelic, innocence and purity, and just an exquisite energy.
So let's talk about the crystalline children then. Are you saying that there's now a whole new, well, you probably have very crystalline energy. That's what I really heard. Well, wait, she already has many, right? Your children are part
I
of
do.
these
I have 8 children, and I definitely have. Well, I feel like I've had my children span across 16 years. So
Okay, that
having
makes it
kids
easier. Every 2 years?
in 2 generations, right? Like I've had my kids in basically 2 generations, and we hear about the indigo children, we hear about the rainbow children, and I feel that the crystalline children are that next wave of volunteers. We hear that term used sometimes, of course, coined predominantly by Dolores Cannon. But the crystalline children are now, I was basically tuning in one day, and what I heard was that the earth is finally vibrating at a frequency that allows for the crystalline children to come through, and that until that frequency was shifted, it just wasn't possible. So it's really beautiful to know, and especially since 2012. In 2012, humanity came to a choice point, and we chose the crystalline pathway. Now, it's not like we instantaneously arrived at the crystalline new earth, but we technically, in my opinion, there's a lot of the grid that has come online in that, past over 12 years since then. And my kids, I've got kiddos born after that time, and there is a difference in the kiddos. They all have different missions. They're all special. All of us are. We wouldn't be on this planet unless we had a special mission and a special purpose, a unique one that is specifically based on our soul experience. But the kiddos born after 2012 definitely carry a different frequency. And the amount of kids coming onto the planet, I should say souls that are carrying that crystalline child frequency, is just increasing. And I have had a lot of friends who are getting ready to have kids commenting that they feel them. I've had grandparents say that they've had these crystalline children come to them. And the whale mothers are essentially helping to escort these souls onto the planet in their light bodies and help them get to the point where they're prepared to go, if they choose, to be incarnated. So when a baby is born, they did not come from the life before, like immediately right now. These crystalline children have come to some crystalline inner earth education spaces. And this is something I tuned into recently, just last year in 2025. We had this arc of galactic historian conferences, and I discovered that it was only after the fact that I discovered this, after I had my experience with the whales in Australia, that the whales told me this specific pathway that the crystalline children go on when they enter the earth plane before they get into a body, if they choose to go into a body. And it was super fascinating, super fascinating.
Very fascinating, because I know we're all trained before we come here, but now you're saying that they're really special, trained with special gifts and connected to the whales, which to me,
yes.
I'm hearing Avatar in my head. I just saw the third Avatar movie, and those are crystallized population, crystallized children in there. But it also makes me realize how under attack our children have been, because they have the potential to transform our planet and world, right? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I guess over the last probably 8 to 10 years, I felt a big shift in the framework that I've used when it comes to the templates that are present on the planet right now and whether or not they're serving the kids. And so where I don't necessarily use the exact verbiage you did as far as, being under attack, I do see that, like it or not, the powers that be are definitely going to see, witness, and that the wave is something that they can't stop. I don't think that we're going to have to fight. I feel the whale mothers are showing me with their frequency, and you can imagine the whale energy is very fluid, very graceful, that this changeover into this new way of basically, you could say education, but this new experience for the kids, that it's just going to happen naturally. And you want to hear something strange? So my kids born before 2012, I was called to solely homeschool them and private school for the most part. And with this second set of kids, these crystalline kids, they're in public school, which I know sounds crazy, and I never thought that I would want to have them there. But what I have been shown is that these kids are so anchored in their templates that there's very little that can rock them. Obviously, parents would use discernment as a steward and a caretaker of these souls, but these kids are very powerful. And if we follow our intuition and teach them to follow theirs, it actually does not matter where they are. They will receive what they need and they will manifest what they need. So if a child needs to be homeschooled, that child is holding a frequency so powerful that it will naturally ripple into their reality, and the path will be paved for the parent to be able to provide that. If they need some other kind of special arts education or something. So I think that the reality that we live in is going to mold to these crystalline children and what they need. And again, I think that they hold a very powerful frequency, very powerful blueprints. And I declare that, you know what I mean? It's beyond me like predicting it. I'm just declaring it. I think that's the world we all want. So if we can all just declare that that's what's happening, so be it. And so it is, right?
And so it is right. Yeah. I agree with you that this new generation, I think they're the generation we've been waiting for in a way to uplift and really sort of accelerate these transformations. So are there specific soul contracts then that these family soul blueprints or these family blueprints, let's kind of talk about that, and then the ancestral lineage that would mean?
Sure. Well, I think to answer that question, I'd like to just drop in and do a little bit of channeling from the whale mothers, if that's okay.
Yes, let's do it.
It's always fun to just kind of tune in and get that directly from them. Now, I do a blended channel, so I'm very conscious when I'm channeling, and sometimes I'll channel in first person, but sometimes I'll just relay the message that they're giving me. So we'll see. I'm going to start with a little bit of light language to calibrate. An uru kiana ara. Sihu urukunara katia sukushari nuraya. So I'm immediately feeling and sensing the Lemurian mothers and grandmothers. And of course, the Lemurians are, seeded by the stars, seeded by the star families, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Lyrans. But I'm feeling the presence of these earth mothers from the frequency, the time, the place of Lemuria coming forward and letting me know that these children are carrying with them, and these people, I should say, that are carrying this divine family template, it's very much connected to templates they held when they were incarnated during the time of Lemuria. And Lemuria is really a frequency, and time isn't real because everything's happening all at one time. But for our purposes in our conscious mind and our linear, parts, I'll say it that way, that I feel that if you are carrying a divine family template, then you really stepped into your mastery especially during the time of Lemuria, and were able to hold that. And what that template looks like goes beyond just a family with parents and children. It expands into the greater family of the community, and beyond that into the greater family of humanity, right? And so it's a template that you can call it into a very specific kind of compressed energy there with just what you think of as parents and children. But beyond that, it goes into all of the ways that quote unquote family and community is expressed. And that's what I feel we're returning to. That's the message that's coming through right now as I'm seeing these beautiful Lemurian mothers. And I'm seeing the way that they lived during the times of Lemuria in the family units. And it wasn't always just like we think a traditional family, it takes a village to raise a child, and they really believed it. Everybody had their specific gifts and their talents, and they knew that family was, I think of the, what's that movie? Lilo and Stitch, which has a very Lemurian frequency because it's a Disney cartoon, and then they turned it into a live action. It was took place in Hawaii, right? The Hawaiian Islands, which very much carry that Lemurian frequency. And they talk about the Hawaiian word for family, which is ohana. And in it, you see them creating this sort of non-traditional family, but it's still ohana. It's still family to them. And I think that's important for us to do, is to think a little bit out of the box of what sometimes dogmatic philosophy can tell us what family is, and understand that we're all soul family. And that when we carry that template, I am you, you are me, we are family, I am sister, I am brother, seeing that. And so if you carry that template, chances are you definitely have one or more lifetimes during Lemuria that you're connected to that time period. A lot of people that are connected to Lemuria feel a strong connection to whales, dolphins, marine life, islands, the earth. A lot of times they'll tell me, I'm an earth starseed. And I said, yes, then you're probably also Lemurian, because that was all about being on planet Earth. And so I think that's a great thing to look out for. If you think in your mind, like, am I holding the divine family template, and you don't know yet, that's a great indication that you are. If you're holding the divine family template, something I've also noticed from my friends, those who haven't really found their, divine counterpart yet, or haven't been able to have children of their own yet, it's okay, because I feel sometimes there's a lot of pressure. It's like, you're going to carry that frequency the best you can in the way that you need to, if you're holding a sense of empowerment through emotional regulation and through a regulated nervous system, which is another interesting topic. And the whales are very connected to the upgrades we're experiencing to our light bodies, to our nervous systems, and our capacity to hold higher voltage, literally electricity, and higher frequencies. So that's a whole other subject we could dive into.
Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So are there tools that we can use to understand? And first of all, I love that you addressed that even if you don't have those bambinos yet, those children, your frequency is activating and changing to incorporate that and to trust that. And it is interesting because I was 41 when I had my first child, and I had incredible visions about her before she came in. I always knew she was a girl. I knew I'd have a son after, I'd see them walking with me, and they really wanted to be known. And I do think children want to be known. We can actually actively tune into our family blueprint. And I really love that.
We can.
Yeah. So do they have more messages for us? Are there other messages that you'd like to give us today?
Absolutely. I would be happy to. So I think the nervous system where I was going, I think that's really, I was being led by them. I feel that they're like, yes, JJ, we were going that direction. Keep going with the nervous system. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring through a little bit more light language that I feel better and more adequately expresses some of what they're wanting to bring through. And beyond the light language that I'm speaking, I would invite those who are watching to simply open their awareness, open their third eye, you could say, to a telepathic message that might come through from the whale mothers. And we'll see what happens. We'll play a little game with that, because I have no doubt that you'll get an image pop in your mind, or maybe a word or a feeling or sensation, and they'll be able to transmit a message beyond just what I speak. Dianak urukotarai indurishnalalala. Ugriari nonokurai lalai iatsukushataraya. I'm definitely feeling they're inviting us to connect with shells. If you can get your hand on a shell, it's carrying a lot of energy. And so even if you aren't able to get to the ocean, these shells that you can find them in lots of places, are going to help you connect with the ocean, connect with the whales, connect with these frequencies of Lemuria, honestly, is what's coming through. They're holding almost like records within the shells. And it's funny, we talk about putting up a shell to your ear and you can hear the ocean in it. And of course, you may not be able to find a shell that's that large, but any kind of shell is what's coming in right now. Let's see what else they're going to share with us. Just taking nice deep breaths. I'm being shown the lungs and the alveoli in the lungs, and something about the air, about allowing yourself to take better breaths in order to guide and soothe and regulate all of the potential reactivity of your emotional body or of your nervous system, or the two, both of them at the same time, and rewire your brain. Rewire your brain. And I'm also really feeling, and I've been feeling this for a while, this isn't actually new information, but they're showing it to me again and wanting me to remind you that one of the greatest tools we have is water. And if you have the opportunity to fully immerse yourself in water, it could be a pool. Like if you don't have any natural water nearby, that's probably warm enough right now for some of you in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're listening to this in the winter. But there's something about immersing yourself in water. And yes, a bath will do in a pinch, but preferably somewhere you could swim. It's returning us to that sense of the womb space of the divine cosmic mother. That's really what the great ocean, the ocean is, the mother, the womb, that amniotic fluid, that cosmic energy. And the whales are also reminding me that is important as we move forward on the planet, is to maintain these well-regulated nervous systems. Obviously, that doesn't mean we're going to be completely neutral all the time. It just means that if we express emotion, we're doing it intentionally and with awareness. And we're not feeling like our emotions are, running away with everything. They're, we're able to kind of keep them in check in the way that we desire to do so. And emotion is very powerful. So we're also able to use that emotion to our advantage to do all kinds of things, to manifest things. Emotions create energy fields, right? Powerful emotions can create energy fields. and the higher vibrational energy fields, or I should say emotions, can create very, very large energy fields and shift reality. So now I'm feeling that they're wanting to mention for a moment, just take a deep breath as you're listening and receiving. And I'm going to pause and just for about 30 seconds and just allow any more telepathy, any more telepathic messages to come through. Beautiful. Sometimes silence is really, well, silence can be very powerful. And there's an invitation to also use our voices and our own frequencies to support the regulation of the nervous system. So you can maybe just take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, just let out an audible sigh. And just feel into the lower chakras of the body and feel this grounding energy coming through. And I can tell that they're also offering their assistance. You don't have to do this alone, they're saying. You don't have to do this alone. You are supported forward and behind you and to the right and to the left, and you're supported by angels, and you're supported by crystalline children, and you're supported by us, the whales, and you're supported by your soul family, your galactic family. You're supported by elementals and by the ascended ancestors. And they're inviting us to just connect even telepathically with our team, our family of light. Because sometimes we forget they're there. We forget they're there. And it's just a reminder that, yes, they are here. They're supporting you. And you have the power to shift your reality. You have the power to remember the gifts that you have inside your soul and are ready to blossom and to serve humanity and to serve Gaia. And the final message they have is actually that of service, the joy in service, the joy in serving your fellow human being, joy in connecting with your fellow human being in a simple way, just in passing with a smile or a little hello. It doesn't have to be big. In fact, Joan, you said it at the very, very beginning of our conversation, when just after the New Living Expo trailer, you said our fields will be able to change things. We won't even have to say a word, but our energy field will be able to shift an environment. So I just want to witness that you said that, you witnessed that too.
I did witness that. And I'm feeling that right now. In fact, when you started, I suddenly found myself in the bottom of the sea. And I was in a class with the whales. It was quite profound. Well, I love the whales. I just love the whale energy.
Yeah.
And I used to think I was a dolphin energy, but I'm really not. I'm a sage. I'm a wise elder whale at this moment.
Yes.
And
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say you hit the nail on the head, because the whales are also the wisdom keepers of the planet.
Right. And I've always known that. And I always feel that they bring a certain amount of stability. I was going to ask you about, I know you talk a lot about embodiment and bringing it down into the body, which you suddenly did very effectively. But how does that affect our intuition and our ability then to speak like language and our ability to be a clear channel, say.
Mm, mm. Well, I'm still feeling the whale mothers wanting to weigh in on this. And I'm going to say, like, I'm saying this, but I give them credit because what they're reminding us is that our body, well, this is kind of extreme, but our body is not our enemy. Our body is not preventing us from tuning in. Our physicality is not keeping us from being more spiritual, right? Because I think there's some subtle, sometimes not so subtle, subconscious programming that makes us kind of frustrated that we have a body. Starseeds can carry that wound because they're like, this is so dense. I can't do what I did in my other planet where I was just a plasma light body and I could just float around and do whatever I want. But listen, this physical human body is a very powerful vessel. And what they're saying to me is that when we partner with our body fully through embodiment practices, through taking the time after we get an activation to fully anchor it in, to honor the organs and all of the cells of the body, that you guys good? How are you guys doing? You know, it's a massive team of sentient beings just in our physicality that is ready to manifest. So we've brought on board, we have not only our outer team is what I'm hearing, we have our inner team of sentience. You know, each cell has its own sentience, and beyond each cell having its own sentience, even each like mitochondria, each particle, each subatomic, you know, all of these sentience. You know, if you think about, I always talk about how we're stronger together, right? Like, you know, the analogy where you take the pencil and you say this one pencil and you break the pencil, and then you take a handful of pencils and you try to break it and you can't break it because we're stronger together. Well, this is the thing about the physical body, is it allows us to be part of a team of you could say intention, or beings that are creating and holding an intention together. And that's why, back to what we were just saying, the energy field created by somebody who is fully embodied is going to be much more expansive and much more powerful than the energy field that's emanated by somebody who hasn't fully, you know, who's kind of bypassing that or dissociating, right? So that's actually how I see that weaving together. And I love that you mentioned the embodiment piece.
Well, gosh, I think that's so important. I had a thought about it as you were speaking. It's really powerful. So I talked to people about waking up every cell in their body. I was a chiropractor for many years, and my work was turning people's power on. And I'd say, okay, wake up your cells, your fingers, your toes. In fact, you all ought to be doing this as JJ, as the 3 J's up here.
Yes. Wake it up.
Waking up every single cell in your body, wiggle your toes, your nose, everything, even blinking your eyes, actually. But I hadn't thought of it as like, just like, you know, this unity consciousness, where one being, but in a stream of other consciousnesses, our cells are part of our body. I never thought of them as independent. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're giving me a whole new way to conceptualize it. Okay.
Yeah, they're independent intelligences, right? And we're all working together.
That was the word you were. Independent intelligences. So every single cell, your heart, your lungs, so they would respond to positive. Well, they either respond to your negative thoughts, or they're going to respond to your positive. And so this is really body embodiment, body empowerment, maybe.
I love that word.
That's most important.
It is. And it is about reclaiming that power, so that we have the wherewithal, the consciousness, the intention that we can create our reality, right? Because for many years, we've lived under different illusions for different reasons, right? We chose, technically, at the end of the day, we all chose to incarnate, you know, here, that there's nothing we can do. there's nothing we can do to change it. But that's absolutely not true. We can change our reality. And I love how the whale mothers brought in that analogy. I've never said that before, so I just, like I said, I want to give them the credit. They reminded us this. And of course, everything that we're talking about, Joan, it's less about me telling you all this new information and more about me reminding you of what your soul already knows, right?
No, absolutely true. And so I was on your website before, and I see that you teach classes like light language.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. And also, do you teach deep regression also? Is that part of your work?
Well, I do a modality called multidimensional soul integration, which incorporates something that you could consider to be like that. It is a level of remembrance. It's funny that you're asking me that.
Okay.
I got a download the other day because I've never been formally trained in hypnosis, ever. But I consider myself to be someone who helps people to remember, right? So in that, you'd think, well, that's what regression is. You're accessing memories. Well, for whatever reason, the template that I came to this planet carrying has to do with conscious remembrance. And so I've never done a modality where you have to completely check out in order to access the information. And it's not just me. What I was told by my team and higher self the other day was, we don't need to do that anymore because the veils are thinning. We do not need to go into deep regression anymore. So I've tried this with my kids, Joan, and you would not believe it, but I have a teenager who's given me permission to share a couple of these stories. So I'm not doing it without his permission. Where between the ages of 14 and 15, I got this like ping, and I've done this with other kids, by the way. If I want to do this when we're at the New Living Expo, people will bring kids, and it'll be for the adults too. But it is accessing your Akashic records, but I don't frame it exactly like that. I do play a little game. So, because with kids, it's like you don't need to explain all about the Akashic records to them. Like it's going to come. So I'm driving down the road here in LA with one of my kiddos who knows what I do. And he does some of my video for me too. It's a family. Speaking of the divine family template, we involve the family, we involve the kids in the business. But I just got this ping. I was like, I wonder what would happen if I just like started kind of taking him in a little bit of a guided meditation where I just said, close your eyes. There's a reason this came up. Music is one of the biggest activators of past life remembrance for people, especially recent past lives where you can hear a song like maybe from 50, 60 years ago. But there's a song that came on and I got a ping and I was like, I wonder if he like lived during the 80s, like the 1980s. And so anyway, long story short, I lead him in this guided meditation and I don't know how far I can take him because I'm wondering if he's going to have a block and just be like, oh, I don't see anything anymore. We went through the entire life arc, just like you would with someone you do a past life regression in full hypnosis without any sort of hypnosis. And he was completely lucid and conscious and he could open his eyes and then go back into it. And he was just, this is that, and this is that. So I did it through a series of questions, which I think that has to do with my templates that I hold, right? Like I have skills I've developed across other lifetimes to help people regain some soul remembrance and release the veils of forgetting. And he literally could imagine this entire life. I won't go into it. It was actually a harmonization of that life because he, in that lifetime, there was some trauma that he experienced. And so we actually took him through the whole thing. I've done this with other kids and they're accessing past lives like this, but I'm not saying access a past life. I'm saying it differently. But these kids, the veil is very, very thin. Mm-hmm. And if you just prompt them a little teeny tiny bit, then it just blows wide open all of this remembrance. And beyond that, I guess, because I didn't even talk about the light language piece, I have a lot to say about light language, but I'll pause right there because, you may have something to comment about this whole remembrance stuff.
Well, the remembrance stuff is really powerful, and it is a soul remembrance. And so years ago, when I lost everything twice, but the first time I lost everything, I just remembered, okay, I need to mastermind. I need to be with people who are really high up again. And honestly, I isolated myself from everyone I knew except my two kids, my 10-year-old daughter, my 8-year-old son. And I started doing a little mastermind group for the three of us to start to visualize getting back into power, knowing, getting a new house again and getting our life back. And so we did this every single night. And my daughter named us the Miracle Makers Club. We were, and it was a family, and it was all about the family dynamic of how your family could be your Miracle Makers Club, and each person had their own role. And we actually reviewed the whole family purpose and what each person's energy was in that dynamic. So I do have an idea of what you're talking about, because it is a really powerful thing for families to come together. I know a lot of you out there are single and may not have kids, but you may have dogs and cats. And so you are a family dynamic in a sense as well. But that was really powerful for us. And we formed the Miracle Makers Club, and we went on to win several $1 million as a result of it, and transformed our life. But it was through the power of masterminding with my own children.
Wow.
Which I haven't told that story forever.
You know what? I heard your team tell me, I heard this. No, when you were sharing that, I heard them say, she has not shared this story for a really long time, and it was time for her to share it again so that she could plant that seed for parents of young children, that she'd just forgotten about it. And this just activated her remembrance of that story. And now she's now I'm gonna do it. Like, we just did this thing. My friend Tara, or Tara, I should say, from Australia, she wrote this book about your family North Star. So we just did this activity at the beginning of the year where we took this North Star image, this 5-pointed star, and we came up with sort of like the principles that are going to guide our family. But beyond that, we did like a bucket list, which is a vision board type, you get that. But I'm like, we got to get serious. We're going to do what you said. And we're going to I'm going to get on this now. So thank you for your wisdom and for that idea.
Reach out to me about it, honestly, because as you were talking about it, and you've mentioned also kids are invited to your event. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kids are invited, and I'm guessing you work with, and your whole family seems to be involved in your work.
Yeah, to some degree, they're all involved in different ways. Yeah.
Or they support you in a lot of ways. I think that's amazing. Yeah. So the family, the soul family blueprint aspect is really important. And maybe even if we don't have kids, not knowing our own soul family blueprint with the parents and family we were born into might be really important. And I felt you tuning into me, by the way.
Well, your team came straight up and they said, she hasn't shared this story for a really long time, but this was the day she needed to share it, or it was aligned for her to share it again, to come to the world. Because what you did, Joan, I mean, speaking of all of what we've been talking about and what I talked about at the very beginning of our chat, which was everybody carries their unique blueprint, their unique templates, and their unique gifts. So, I mean, that's a very specific template that you embodied with your kids and then literally anchored into the planet, because the three of you lived it out, and it's there for other people to access. It's floating now, woven into the collective consciousness through the quantum field. And now I consciously know it's there, and I'm going to consciously be able to put words to this idea of manifesting with your family, but call it something more fun for kids, which is Miracle Makers Club, and then tell them the story that you guys manifested millions of dollars. And they'll probably sit down and do it with me if I tell them that story, I guarantee you.
And I have a book that tells you all about it, the Miracle Makers Club.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that.
I do. I have a book and I just edited it and updated it recently. But I wanted to say that top on our list was, because these are kids, 8 and 10, they wanted a house with a swimming pool and a basketball court. And I want you to know that was in 1999. And we did get that house in 2005. Wow. So it took a few years for us to manifest multi-million dollars to come back. But it was all because of the kids in the Miracle Makers Club. And you're right. You know what? This is such a basic interview. Like what we're talking about is our foundation inside the body, our foundation with the roots we came in with our families. And even if we're not politically aligned or there's out of balance, we still have that in our body.
Yeah.
Of that need to harmonize this. This is brilliant, JJ.
You know what? It's so funny. We try to make it so complex, but it's really just so simple, isn't it?
Very simple. Yeah. So you're bringing this to the New Living Expo. Is there anything else you want to tell us about what you're bringing and what we need to know right now?
Sure. I have to say that my presentations are typically they're interactive to a certain degree. They're very experiential. I'm not a lecturer in that way. I very much like to involve the audience and always hold space for audience participation through like questions and answers or sharing. And so I plan on doing that, especially with those of you who are able to bring your kiddos that are 8 and above. It will very much be age appropriate to that. And yeah, I'm really excited to weave with everybody there. I say the word weave because I have our community is called Light Weavers Global. We have people from all across the world weaving threads of light, as you can imagine by the name. Yeah. And I like to go across the world with that template from the grandmother weavers, where I, activated that template with them, both the cosmic grandmother weavers, the spider beings, and also the planets, our earth grandmother weavers, where again, we all have that unique thread and that unique offering for humanity. And it's time for us to really ramp up and remember and not get stressed out about it and trigger our nervous systems, because I can't remember my sole purpose. It's simple. It's probably right in front of you. You're probably already doing it, but you just need somebody to witness it to you, because you forgot, because you do it all the time, that It's even your gift, right? We're looking for some kind of crazy thing, but no, been doing it all along.
Always right in front of your nose.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful, JJ.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I've loved this interview. It's not even an interview. I've loved this conversation. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you're bringing and your mastery.
I'm in the presence of your wisdom and greatness as well. So thank you.
Well, I love what I enjoyed being on Instagram with you. I love being on this with you. We'll find other opportunities. We'll get to chat, and I'll see you at the Conscious Life and New Living Expo.
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
So I just want to say thank you so much for being with us.
You're very, very welcome.
Really appreciate you, love, so much.
Such a pleasure.
Well, wasn't that an amazing experience? We went places I had no idea where we were going to go, and just very, very powerful. JJ herself is an amazing being. You can feel her energy. She comes through. So JJ, your clarity, your grounded presence, your respect for us humans and for the children and the animals, the sentient beings, really came through today. And I appreciate you. I can still feel the whales around us. Very grateful. And I'm grateful for all of you, for our audience out there, for everyone watching. Thank you very much for being here, for being part of these conversations, and for doing work that changes the world, because you're all part of the wisdom keepers here on the planet. And so you can join us at the New Living Expo. You can see JJ at the New Living Expo. You can check out Portal to Ascension at portaltoascension.org. And if today's conversation activated something inside you and you felt a genuine resonance, then I invite you to contact me at joanofangels.com. Meanwhile, expect miracles. You were born for them. That's all I want you to know. You are a miracle maker. You were born to create miracles.